United States Senate candidate denied health and disability benefits right in the middle of the campaign. Coming up next on Deceptions of the Ages News. Welcome to Deceptions of the Ages News. I am Matthew HEINES, and I am a candidate for the United States Senate in Washington State. Now, normally I would have posted this on my Matthew HEINES for U.S. Senate YouTube channel, but today I am posting this on my Deceptions of the Ages News channel because this is news that is very important for all Americans and especially the residents of Washington State. Now, before I get too far into this, let me just explain to my viewers that this setup might be new to you, and this is a temporary thing for right now anyway, because I am starting a podcast, and this is the only setup that I have available to use, considering the time constraints. So, if you want to check out that podcast, it is called Books in Hindsight, and it is available for download on Podcast Connect at iTunes, as well as any of your other podcast networks. All right, so before we get too much farther into this, I want to explain that today we're going to be talking about something that had to do with the Washington State Senate campaign. And I'll just start off by saying right now that some of the candidates in the campaign have already filed for a recount in the biggest county, King County, Thurston County, and Pierce County, which are the third and second biggest in Washington State. Now, the reason they filed for a recount is because there were 4.2 or 4.3 million ballots that were sent out, but only 1.3 million returned. Where are all, well, not returned, but counted. So where are all of those ballots? And we can only speculate as to, where they are. Are they sitting in somebody's house? Did they just get chucked in the garbage? Do people really not care that much about Washington politics? And if not, why don't they care? Well, I think this story is going to highlight a little bit about what might explain why people don't care about Washington politics, because they just feel like it is hopeless and they don't want the government to find out about them. And I think you'll understand why when I tell you the story. So I ran for the Senate, and during the race, there was a candidate that confided in me that he was actually on labor and industries, which is disability, because he had been injured 2 years before at work, and they had initially denied his claim, and they had sent him to a doctor that had basically injured his leg even more, and based on that doctor, he had his claim denied. He had to go to the Veterans Administration just to confirm the extent of his injury, which eventually, after he went to the Veterans Administration and had to appeal all the way up to the United States Attorney General, finally the claim was allowed, and so there was subsequent surgery. And he had so a lot of therapy, MRIs, whatever. So during all of this time, he was just he had been put under investigation by them because, well, for actually no reason other than that they had found out his religious and political orientation, and put under investigation, which came to nothing, and they just basically brought him in so they could, just kind of make him feel uncomfortable, I guess. I don't know what the point of that was. So this candidate got fed up, and he, is a patriot. He's a veteran, and he really cares about his country. The guy's been overseas teaching in schools so that people have a nice opinion of Americans. He is very productive. He has a master's degree in education, and during his whole campaign, he ran on helping the poor people out, improving education, and making America safe. And he actually did fairly well in the election. And he just only had the money that he had from Labor and Industries. So, what did Labor and Industries do? Right as soon as the ballots came out, based upon no reason whatsoever, based upon no medical finding, the Department of Labor and Industries in Washington State cut off his benefits. Cut off his benefits completely. And they sent him a thing that said he had so much, he had 2 months to appeal and whatever. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But they just cut off his benefits. Why? So that he would drop out of the race. Now, as I said, he had not gone to the doctor. There was no reason for him to have had his, because they pay him for his lost wages. So there was no reason for them to do this other than the fact that he was running as a Republican, and he was opposing Maria Cantwell, the Democratic incumbent. And we don't have to look too far to understand at a party and a group of people that promotes violence against their opposition, and then we see these people, they act like jackals in the Congress, and they're barking and yapping and barking and yapping. But these jackals are also very dangerous because they're in the government. So right in the middle of the campaign, as soon as the ballots come out, this candidate's funds were cut. So he didn't say anything to anybody. He didn't complain. And he just tried to follow the process and to get his, to get them, to just say, no, that's not correct. And this is not based on any medical finding. So it must be some mistake on your part. And so he just wanted to go through the process of appealing it and praying to God that he would win the election so that they would have to treat him like a human being. So this guy, I watched him during the whole campaign. He didn't have money. He drove around the state in an old pickup with no air conditioning, and he went to all of the events, the picnics, the publicity, whatever things, and he attended everything that he possibly could to meet people. And I knew that he was spending a lot of money, and he was really sacrificing in order to be able to do this. So it was really sad, of course, when I heard this story, and that is why I'm telling you this story. This is a horrible, horrible thing to happen to somebody, and this should be all over the news, that they would try to manipulate an election by taking the benefits of an injured worker, and especially a veteran, a guy who served his country, a guy who is taught, who's always spent his life helping the country, and right during the election, when he's trying to help his country and to do something for his country, the Democrats just cut his benefits. So I'm going to tell you one other thing. Oh, I just hit my microphone. I'm going to tell you one other thing that I think is important for you to know. And that is that individual, that Senate candidate that was running, trying to help out his country, well, that person just happens to be me. Yep, it just happens to be me. And I have spent 2 years fighting with L&I, just constant, horrible head games. I've had to go to the Veterans Administration twice just to confirm injuries. And now, right in the middle of the campaign, they cut my benefits. So I cannot even think of another example. And just let me explain also to you that you would say, oh, well, why would you be running for the Senate when you're disabled. And the reason I was running for the Senate, number one, is because of the way I had been treated by LNI. And I just said, if they're going to do that to me, they're going to do that to everybody. And so there were many more reasons. I mean, I'm a teacher, so I really want to change education. And the things that I do in my real deal that I stand for and that I'm going to continue to fight for through this election and the next elections to come, these things are very important. But along with these things, because I'm an American citizen and a veteran, I will never get treated with any respect by the state of Washington. They have their demographics that they prefer, and I can assure you I do not fall into those demographics. So, yes, that actually, this is what LNI has done to me, and I have my own channel, so I am telling you that this is one of the great deceptions of our time, that they will do anything to manipulate an election. Now, you can say, oh, that's really crazy. Well, let me tell you another crazy story. In 2015, Trump was running for the Senate, and I was up for a job at the Social Security Administration. And I had passed all the requirements, and they had done my background check, and the last thing was to go in and talk to them for my final interview. And Trump was running, and I, think he's funny, and I thought, well, he actually might win. So I sent him $10, why not? So after I sent him $10, the very next day, and you can call this completely paranoid, if you will just remember what happened with the Tea Party and how they audited them at the IRS, and how the all of these, this deep state and all of our high tech, our Googles and the banking and the NSA and CIA and IRS, everybody's linked, right? So on the very next day, I was notified. I did not get my job at Social Security. A day after that, I was notified that the IRS was auditing me for $23,000 that they said I owed that I did not owe. 2 or 3 days after that, LNI canceled my claim based upon supposedly an independent examiner. So these things all happened with me at LNI. And these are the reasons that I said I have to run, because we cannot keep doing these to Americans, because we are going to have people just revolting, and we will not even have a society anymore, because people will hate the government so much, and we need some respectability and some accountability in the government. So so I ran. And I just want to tell you the details of this, that what LNI says is they say that I had 60 days to appeal, which I did. I said that this is not based on any medical evidence, because I haven't been to a doctor, and the doctor, or I'm getting therapy now, and they think that I need either reconstructed knee, or they think I need a knee replacement. So I need a knee replacement. But during the campaign, LNI says, no, you go back to work, right? So I don't. So they're finding, or what they're saying, is that I had 2 months to do it, and so I said, okay, I have 2 months to do it. But so what they do is they send you a letter, and I just want you to I want you to see this. This is one. This is not the. This is not from the doctors and the hospitals, and this is not everything at all. But this is LNI. This is 2 years of LNI and documents and whatever. And so they send me a check, and what happens, and you get the check, and okay, I need to appeal everything, and and there's another one. Well, that's not that important, so I'll look at that later. Well, that one that was not so important said I had 15 days. 15 days to appeal that says that I couldn't go back to work. Now, as I said, I need a knee replacement. And they're telling me, yeah, you can go right back to work. So you tell me that this is not a politically motivated screw job by Washington State and the Democratic Party. Because you can say whatever you want. The facts are the facts. This happened, and this determination came out on August 26th, and the ballots came out, July 26th, and the ballots came out on July 20th, which means they hit the mail about July 22nd, 23rd. So as soon as L&I, Labor and Industries, saw that I was on the ballot, they cut my benefits. Okay. Now, I had notified L&I the entire time. I had notified them for a year that as soon as I was going to run for governor. But as soon as Cantwell's position came up, I had never even heard of her. But anyway, her position came up. I said, well, I'm getting that. I'm going to jump into that because that's a lot sooner. So I jumped into the race. And this is, the result of that. So it was really a life or death fight to begin with, and I lost. So this is what's going to happen now, is it's just going to be a complete screw job. So I don't have, I'm going to send this to the news stations and whatever, and I'm going to tell them, this is a major injustice, and can you believe a candidate who's trying to help our country, they would cut off disability benefits? How cruel is that? But you know what? The news won't cover this. They don't care at all. They won't cover the fact that there are a bunch of candidates demanding a recount of this corrupt state's ballot counting system. And they're not telling you how two of the people that the tech companies and the media want in Washington, D.C., because they're going to cut deals, how they ended up together on the ballot. They're not going to tell you that. But I'm going to tell you that because this is Deceptions of the Ages News, and I want you guys to know about the deceptions that are going on in the world. And I want you to also know that as a Senate candidate, I'm going to still go for the write-in candidate for the 1st Congressional District in Washington State. The seat is Susan Delbenny's seat, and I am raising money now on my HEINES for Senate channel. And if you want to donate, please do. If you live in Washington State, I need volunteers. I'm going to need a lot of people in the 1st Congressional District in October and November to get out. And we need to take that seat for the Republicans and to get it out of the hands of the Democrats. And we can start there. So I need you guys to support me. And if you don't support me, then there's nothing I can do for you. But I'm not the guy who sits around and complains and writes things on YouTube in these discussions, which reminds me, please, if you have any comments, if you support this or if you don't support it, please comment in the comments. I need to know what you guys are thinking. And if you want me to continue on with my fight, then I need to know that. And if you're going to go ahead and comment, then you can sure go ahead and donate a few dollars to my campaign on my HEINES for Senate channel. All right. That's the post for today. And you guys, I apologize. We'll go back to the normal format on the next installment. And I just want to say thank you for watching. And this is Deceptions of the Ages News. We'll see you next time.